you know this night. Not just tonight. This night you have had 100 times before. The body finally horizontal, the lights off, everything in place, and the mind still turning, still rehearsing, still unable to put the day down. You lie there exhausted, knowing you need to wake up restored, and knowing, somewhere underneath the hope, that you probably won't. Like always. Tonight, that changes. The Zen tradition holds a precise, step-by-step practice for crossing the threshold from the day's world into deep rest. A practice so grounded in how the mind actually releases that the only surprise is how completely it works. The body is already trying to get there. It has been trying all day. This teaching shows the mind how to follow. Tonight you will learn a way of breathing that tells the body the day is truly over. A way of moving through every part of yourself that releases what the hours left behind. And something from Zen about the releasing mind that, once you hear it, you carry into every night that follows. Find the most comfortable position you have. Let the weight of the body settle. Wherever in the world you are listening from tonight, welcome. A shadow follows the body that casts it. Wherever you walk, the shadow walks with you. You cannot leave it behind by walking faster or by standing still. It goes where you go, faithfully, without being asked. The mind tonight is doing the same thing. The day trained it to keep moving. The day is over and the mind is still moving, carrying the same quality, the same alertness, the same readiness it practiced all day long into the dark. Every mind reflects the life it has been living. A mind that has spent years in quiet, rhythmic work tends toward a certain quality. A mind shaped by years of pressured, fragmented attention tends toward another. Neither is a flaw. Both are simply minds shaped by what they have been practicing. This is the first thing the tradition wants you to know. The mind running tonight is a mind that learned this. A mind doing its job. A mind that was shaped, as every mind is shaped, by the particular quality of the day it just lived through. The shadow follows the body. The mind follows what it has been practicing. The oldest Buddhist teaching text opens with this image. A cart that follows the ox that pulls it. A shadow that follows the body that casts it. If the ox walks peacefully, the cart moves peacefully. If the body walks in the light, the shadow rests in the light. The condition of what follows is determined entirely by the condition of what leads. And what leads the mind is attention. Whatever the attention has been resting in all day, the mind follows into the night. The shadow follows the body. The cart follows the ox. The mind follows what it has been given to attend to. Think about what today asked of your attention. to move quickly between things, to hold several threads at once without dropping them, to check and check again, to respond before fully settling, to decide before fully knowing, to be ready for whatever came next. And underneath all of that, a low hum of vigilance, the background feeling of needing to stay on top of things, of keeping the important things in view. And here is something else worth noticing. Many people spend the final hour of the day doing more of the same. Checking news, finishing messages, watching something that requires following a plot and tracking outcomes. Right up until the light goes off, the mind was active 1 second ago. Now it is supposed to be at rest. This is a great deal to ask of it. And the mind responds the only way it knows. It keeps going. The mind is excellent at what the day asked of it. It learned it thoroughly. Day after day, it shaped itself to what the world required. It became fast, responsive, alert. And now it is doing all of those things, in the dark, with nothing left to respond to. There is something quietly kind in recognizing this. The mind keeping vigil tonight is not misbehaving. It is showing up for a job the night no longer needs it to do. Loyal, capable, still at its post. When the office closed hours ago and the message never came. Most people, when the mind will not settle, add a second difficulty to the first. The belief that something is wrong with them, that other people sleep easily, that the mind ought to be quieter than it is. They push the thoughts away. They tell themselves they ought to be asleep by now. And the mind, which is very good at its job, treats these instructions as more things to process, more things to do, and so it keeps going. The tradition has a different response to the mind that will not stop. Understand what it is following and give it something different to follow. The ox in this teaching is attention. The cart follows the ox. The mind follows attention. Wherever attention goes, the mind goes with it. All day, the attention was moving fast from one thing to the next. From the task to the message. From the message to the meeting. From the meeting to the worry about tomorrow. The mind followed faithfully every step of the way. And now, in the quiet, the attention has nothing new to follow, so it keeps following the same things it was following before. The review of the day, the rehearsal of tomorrow, the low hum of things kept in view. It is worth pausing on how faithful the mind is. It does not question whether what it is following still needs following. It simply follows. The cart does not decide on its own to stop when the road ends. It follows the ox. And so when the day ends and the attention is no longer needed for anything real, the mind finds the old tracks and runs on them. When you give the attention something different to rest in, the mind begins to follow it there. The ox turns in a new direction. The cart turns with it. The shadow follows the body wherever the body goes. The question becomes, What can the attention rest in? Here is something worth knowing about the thinking mind. It lives in time. It moves backward and forward through time the way most people move through a house. Easily, without effort, without thinking about it. It goes to yesterday's conversation. It goes to tomorrow's difficulty. It constructs versions of the future that don't exist yet and examines them for problems. It replays versions of the past, looking for what might have been handled differently. This is genuinely useful. It is how human beings plan, how they learn, how they imagine their way toward better possibilities. This capacity is a real gift. During the day, it earns its keep many times over. It is also, when there is nothing left to plan or review, very difficult to simply switch off. At night, lying in the dark, this same mind is doing the same things, traveling through time, simply because that is what it knows how to do, and because nothing has given it anywhere else to go. The body, on the other hand, cannot travel anywhere. The body lives entirely in the present, the weight of it pressing into the surface beneath that is happening now. The air moving across the skin, that is now. The sound of the breath moving in and out, now. The body has never been anywhere except here. It has never existed in any moment except this one. When the attention goes to the body, the time-traveling mind finds it has nowhere to go. There is nothing in the body to review, nothing in it to rehearse. The present moment, entered fully, is the one place the mind cannot get ahead of. The cart follows the ox, and the ox is standing still, here, breathing, present. The practice for this section is very simple. It begins right where you are. Watch the mind. Let it do what it is doing. The reviewing, if it is happening. The rehearsing, if it is there. The low hum of vigilance beneath both of them. Let it all run. Simply notice it. The mind going to tomorrow. There it goes. The mind returning to something that happened today. There it goes again. The mind beginning to worry about something that has not yet happened. There. Notice each one. Something is doing the noticing. Something is here that can see the mind moving without being the movement itself. Something quieter than the thought. Something steadier than the worry. Stay with that for a moment. The thoughts keep coming. The reviewing, the rehearsing, the quiet hum of things kept in view. All of it still running. And underneath all of it, or maybe behind it, or simply present alongside it, the one who is watching. You, here, noticing that the mind is running, which means you are not the running itself. This is a small thing, a quiet thing, but it is real. The watcher and the watched are two different things. And the moment you notice this, truly notice it, even for a second, something shifts. The mind is still running, and you are the one who knows it is running. These are already two different things. This noticing does not require effort or skill. It is the most natural thing in the world. Awareness recognizing what is happening within it. The mind moves. Awareness knows the movement. The practice is choosing to rest in the knowing rather than in the moving. When a thought is seen clearly, it loses some of its pull. The thought that is noticed is no longer entirely in charge. There is now something else present, the part of you that noticed it. And that part, however quiet, creates a small space between you and the movement of the mind. The thought wants to be followed. It pulls toward tomorrow, toward yesterday, toward whatever is unresolved. There is a familiar feeling to this. The sense that if you just follow this particular thought all the way through, the worry might finally settle. And so you follow it. And it does not settle. And the next one arrives with the same pull. The watching does not follow. It simply knows. A thought comes. Awareness knows it. The thought moves on. Awareness stays. Another thought comes. Awareness knows that one too. Nothing is being resolved. Nothing needs to be. The steady knowing of what is arising and passing is itself the practice. In most moments of the day, there is no gap between the thought and the following of it. The thought arrives and the attention goes with it immediately. To the message. To the problem. To the conversation still running in the background. The gap never gets a chance to open. Right now, lying in the dark with nowhere you need to go, the gap has a chance to open. This is it. This noticing. This very small distance between the thought and the knowing of it. Notice this now. The thoughts still moving. And something beneath them, or behind them, or holding them, that is completely still. This stillness was here before the first thought arrived tonight. It will be here after the last one passes. It does not come and go with the thoughts. It is the water, and the thoughts are the ripples. The ripples do not change what the water is. Feel the difference between the thought and the awareness of it. The thought has direction, texture, a pull towards somewhere. The awareness is simply here, without direction, without agenda, without needing anything to change. You are practicing. The mind is exactly where it is. And you are here, watching, steady. These are already two different things. And the difference between them, however small, is where everything else in this teaching begins. The mind has been met tonight, seen, allowed to run without being followed. Something has shifted, however slightly. The mind is no longer the only presence in the room. Now the attention needs something to rest in that will carry it further into the present. Something physical. Something that exists right now in this body and can only be found right now. Something that has been here through all of this. Constant, unassuming, asking nothing. And that will lead the attention so far into the present moment that the time-traveling mind finds it has simply run out of road. The breath has been here the whole time, just breathing, moving through the body as it has always moved, the one thing in experience that exists entirely in the present, that the time-traveling mind cannot get ahead of, that has never once left the room. When the breath becomes the object of attention, the shadow finally finds a body at rest. The cart follows an ox that has turned toward now. And the mind, which has been following attention all day long, begins to follow it here. Now it is time to follow it. The breath is already here. You don't need to find it, or create it, or bring it from somewhere else. It has been moving through the body the entire time, through the whole of the day, through everything that happened, through the whole of this night so far. It did not wait to be noticed. It simply continued. Turn the attention toward it now. The breath arriving, the breath leaving. As simple as that. No instruction yet. Simply knowing that the breath is coming in and knowing that the breath is going out. Most people, when they turn the attention toward the breath, discover they have never really looked at it before. It has been there every moment of their lives. It has never stopped. It has never required anything of them, and they have never particularly looked. It was simply there, the way the sound of a clock is there, present and constant, noticed only when you specifically turn toward it. Turn toward it now. The in-breath arriving at the nostrils, or at the chest, or at the belly, wherever you feel it most clearly. The slight coolness of incoming air. The small expansion somewhere in the torso. The momentary pause at the top, before the breath turns. Now the out-breath. Longer than you expected, perhaps. The release. The settling. The slight warmth of the air leaving. And then the pause at the bottom, before the next breath arrives on its own, without being called. Take one full breath now, a complete in-breath, and then follow the out-breath all the way to its natural end, past the point where you usually stop, all the way to the bottom, where the breath runs out and there is simply, for a moment, nothing. A pause, a small space of not breathing, and then the body, on its own, takes the next breath. The in-breath comes on its own. You did not call it. You did not need to breathe it in. It came the way it has always come, the way it has been coming since the first moment of your life. That space at the bottom of the out-breath is where something in the body releases. The belly, the chest, the muscles along the spine, they all receive the message that the out-breath sends. You can let go now. And they let go, slightly, breath by breath, more with each one. Here is what the tradition noticed about this, and what remains remarkable every time it is encountered. The simple act of attending to the breath changes the breath, without any instruction to slow down, without any effort to deepen it. Simply the attention arriving, and the breath beginning to respond. The exhalation lengthens slightly. The pause at the bottom opens a little wider. The next in-breath arrives with a quality it did not quite have before. Something closer to ease. The tradition invites you further than just the chest or the belly or the nostrils. It invites you to notice the breath throughout the whole body. Most people think of the breath as a local thing, something that happens in the lungs or at the nose. But the breath moves through the whole of the body. Each in-breath slightly shifts the pressure in the abdomen. Each out-breath releases that pressure. The ribs expand and the spaces between them open. The collarbones lift and settle. The belly rises and falls. Even the back body participates, the lower back expanding slightly with each in-breath, softening with each out. Take a few breaths and notice how far the breath actually reaches. Further than you expected, perhaps. A slight movement in the hands, even a subtle shift in the skin of the face. The breath is a wave moving through the whole body, rising, falling, touching everything. And what the body is carrying right now, without your having asked it to, is the whole weight of the day. The shoulders that were held slightly forward during the afternoon's difficult moments. The jaw that has been braced, almost imperceptibly, since the morning. The hands that close somewhere around mid-afternoon and never fully released. The place in the chest that has been slightly compressed since the news arrived, or the message came, or the realization settled in that something would not go as planned. The body holds all of this faithfully. It does not complain. It does not announce what it is carrying. It simply holds. And in the absence of any invitation to release, it keeps holding. The breath is the invitation. Every out-breath is an invitation to the body to release a small portion of what it has been holding. The tradition understood this with great precision. Knowing the breath, attending to it fully, following it all the way through its movement. This is what calms, what the old teaching calls the body formation. All the accumulated tension, the residue of effort, the physical echo of every difficult moment of the day, the breath moves through it, and gradually, breath by breath, carries it away. Without force, without drama. This happens without any instruction to release. The body does not need to be told to let go. It needs only to be given the right conditions. A body that is attended to releases. This is what bodies do. The holding was the response to urgency. The releasing is the response to safety. And the breath, followed all the way through, is how the body recognizes that safety has arrived. Bring the attention to the shoulders now, and as the next out-breath begins, simply notice whether the shoulders can follow it down slightly, even a millimeter, even less. The breath leading, the shoulder following. Now the jaw. the area just in front of the ears where the jaw hinges. This area is almost always held when the mind has been busy. An out-breath arrives. The jaw takes the invitation, or it doesn't. Either way is fine. You are offering, not forcing. Now the hands, the palms, the fingers, the spaces between the fingers. A breath arrives and leaves. Notice whether anything in the hands moves with the out-breath, whether any part of the hands was held more tightly than it needed to be and finds a small permission to release. Come back to the breath itself now, the full shape of it. In-breath arriving, the pause at the top, out-breath releasing, the pause at the bottom, the next breath arriving without being called. You do not need to shape it or control its pace. The only instruction is to know it, to be here with it, to follow it the way you might follow a slow river. Moving with what is already moving, following its current, going where it goes. There is a moment in this practice that most people reach without being told to look for it. The moment when the body takes a breath that is longer than the last one. Deeper, without any instruction to be deeper. The exhalation extending past the usual stopping point as though the body remembered, in the course of being attended to, that it was safe to let a little more go. This is what the tradition was pointing to. When the breath is known, truly known, attended to, followed all the way through its movement, the body begins to calm. The held places soften. The compressed places open. The whole body, breath by breath, returns to something closer to its natural weight. Stay with the breath now for several breaths. In-breath, out-breath, the pause at the bottom, the next breath arriving. In-breath, out-breath, a little longer than the last. The pause, the next breath arriving. Notice if anything in the body has shifted. A heaviness in the limbs that was not there a few minutes ago. A slight blurring at the edges of thought, where the mind was sharp and is now beginning to soften. This is the body remembering what it is to be at rest. Notice the hands. Have they softened from a moment ago? Even slightly? The palms, the spaces between the fingers, the small muscles of the palm that were holding something and have now been given permission to set it down. Notice the face, the brow, the eyes behind the lids, the jaw, the space around the mouth. A face that was active today, concentrating, responding, managing impressions, finding, breath by breath, that none of that is required anymore. Notice the chest, the slight opening with each in-breath, the settling with each out, and somewhere in the chest, in that place where the day's difficulties tend to land and stay, a very small loosening. The breath arriving and finding a little more room than it found before. Here is something worth knowing about the way the breath and the body speak to each other. When the mind is worried, the breath shortens, When the body is tense, the breath stays high in the chest. When the mind is startled, the breath catches. The breath is one of the most immediate records of the inner life. And the relationship works in both directions. When the breath slows, the body follows. When the exhalation lengthens, the body receives a message. The danger has passed. The day is done. It is safe to let the holding go. The body has been waiting for this message all evening. The breath, attended to, is how it finally arrives. The body already knew this. The breath and the body have been in conversation since the first breath drawn at birth. Every out-breath has always been a small act of release. Every pause at the bottom of the breath has always been a moment of trust. The trust that the next breath will come, that it is safe to release completely before the next moment arrives. When the mind leaves, and it will leave, simply return. The mind went somewhere. The breath is still here. Come back to the breath, the out-breath, the pause, the next in-breath arriving on its own. The returning is the practice. Every time the attention wanders and comes back, it has practiced returning. The mind left. The awareness returned. The gap between the two is where the practice lives. There will be moments when the mind seems to have been gone a long time, gone to tomorrow, gone to a worry, gone completely. And then the breath is noticed again. The awareness returns to the out-breath, to the pause, to the rising of the chest. This is the practice working exactly as it is meant to work. The mind left. The breath waited. The awareness returned. Every return to the breath is a small act of choosing the present. A very ordinary choice. The mind went somewhere. The breath is here. Come back to the breath. This is the whole instruction, and it is enough. Let the breath deepen on its own right now. The attention is on the out-breath, following it further than usual, waiting at the bottom, and the in-breath arrives with more ease than before. A little fuller, a little slower. The body finding, through being attended to, that it is allowed to breathe more deeply than the day's vigilance permitted. Stay here. Breath by breath. The body growing heavier. The mind growing quieter. The breath carrying the attention further into the present, further from the review, further from the rehearsal, further into the simple fact of this body, breathing, in this moment, in this particular darkness. The breath has been carrying you. Each out-breath a small release. Each in-breath a small renewal. The body, breath by breath, settling toward rest. And yet there is more in the body than the breath alone can reach. Places that have been holding the day's weight so faithfully and for so long that they have forgotten what it would feel like to put it down. The hands that close somewhere around mid-afternoon and are still not quite fully open. The shoulders that braced for something and never quite finished bracing. The place in the chest or the belly that held something quietly and is still holding it now. There is more to the body than the breath alone can carry. more history, more stored moments. The breath has opened the way. It has moved through the body and begun to soften the surface of things. What comes next is the slower, deeper work of listening, meeting each part of the body where it actually is, one part at a time, with the same quality of attention the breath just received. Now it is the body's turn. The body has been there the entire time. Through the watching of the mind, through the following of the breath, the body has been present, patient, waiting for its own kind of attention. The breath moved through it. Awareness began to settle. And now, something different is being asked, not to observe the body from a distance, but to enter it. This is the distinction the old teaching makes, and it is a precise one. The tradition describes awareness entering the body the way a skilled bathman works soap through dough, not spreading it on the surface, not coating the outside and leaving the inside dry, kneading it through, working it into every part, every fold, every layer, until the whole ball is permeated, saturated, soaked from the inside out, not a dry place remaining. This is what the Buddha used to describe what awareness does to the body when it truly arrives in it. The body does not merely get noticed, it gets filled. Most of the time, the body is experienced from a slight distance, a vague background hum of sensation, the dull pull of tiredness, the faint pulse at the wrists, noticed only when something hurts or demands attention. It is the stage on which the mind performs its thinking, and it mostly goes unobserved. It has been carrying all the weight of the day in this unobserved way, faithfully, silently, without complaint. What happens now is something else. Awareness moves into the body the way heat moves into cold hands when they are finally held, entering the tissue itself, not hovering above it. Each region, when met this way, becomes more present, more real, more fully here. And something in it begins to release, the way a fist releases when it is held by something warm. The body has been waiting for this, for arrival. This is the practice. Bring awareness into the soles of the feet, not to look at them from above, into them. Let awareness soak down through the surface of the skin, into the small bones, the tendons, the soft pads of the toes. The feet carried the full weight of the body through every room today, every corridor, every ordinary distance walked without thought. They are probably the part of the body least often remembered. Let them be remembered now. Let awareness fill them completely. The way the bathman works soap into the edges of the dough, the parts furthest from the center, leaving nothing outside the field of knowing. What is there when awareness arrives? Warmth, perhaps. A faint pulse. The contact of skin against the mattress. The slight pressure where the heel rests. Let awareness fill these sensations rather than observe them. The body knows the difference between being glanced at and being truly met. Stay here a moment longer than feels necessary. Thoroughness matters. The tradition is precise about this. Let awareness move into the ankles, the lower legs. The calves carry a tension that belongs to the posture of readiness, the body prepared to move, prepared to stand, prepared to respond, even now when there is nowhere to go and nothing to respond to. Let awareness enter this tissue, not to command it to release, simply to fill it. A region that has been tense and unvisited is different from a region that has been tense and known. The knowing itself changes what is there. The knees, the thighs, the long muscles of the upper leg hold a record of the day. Let awareness permeate them now. The full length of the leg, from the hip socket to the heel, filled with knowing the way a long pipe fills with water, slowly, completely, right to the far end. A body filled with awareness is heavier than a body that has been left unmet. Let both legs be heavy. Let them sink into what is beneath. This is not tiredness. This is the weight of being fully present in the body, which most people rarely experience, even when they sleep. The hips and the pelvis. This is where the trunk meets the legs, where the spine is anchored, where a great deal of the body's structural work happens without recognition all day long. The hip joints hold the upper body hour after hour without acknowledgement. Bring awareness here now, into the deep muscles of the pelvis, the floor of the body, the broad basin of the hips. Let awareness soak into this dense, quiet territory. There may be sensation here that has not been noticed in weeks. A low ache. A tightness that has been there so long it stopped registering. A warmth. Whatever is there, let it be known. The bathman does not work around the difficult patches of dough. Those are precisely where the work is needed most. The abdomen, the belly, is perhaps the most responsive part of the body to this kind of practice. It moves with each breath. It holds the residue of the day's emotional weather. It clenches and softens in direct response to what the mind has been carrying. Bring awareness fully into the belly now, not to manage it, not to instruct it to release, simply to fill it with knowing. The belly, when met with awareness, often surprises. Something releases that was not known to be held. A breath deepens on its own. The muscles of the abdomen soften by a degree they could not have softened by instruction. The filled dough gives way differently from the untouched dough. Let awareness permeate the whole of the abdomen, the sides, the lower belly, the space beneath the navel where so much is quietly held. Stay with the abdomen for several breaths, rising with the in-breath, permeating further with each out-breath, the belly growing heavier as it becomes more fully known. The arms. From the upper arms downward, through the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, into the hands. The hands work today. They typed, they held, they reached and closed and opened more times than could be counted. They may still be carrying the shape of doing, the slight curl of fingers that have been in use all day. The readiness that has not yet understood it is no longer needed. Let awareness soak into the hands now the way warmth enters cold hands when they are finally held. Into the palms, into each finger, into the spaces between the fingers. A hand that has been filled with awareness is a different hand from a hand that has merely stopped working. One is still braced for what might come. The other has been met. Let the full length of both arms grow heavy and filled. Let the weight of them drop completely into whatever is beneath. The chest. The chest holds more than most people allow themselves to know. The rib cage, the sternum, the lungs moving with each breath, and beneath all of this, the emotional weight of the day. What was said? What was not said? What cost something to give? What was received badly or not at all? The chest carries all of it, compressed into the space between breath and bone. Let awareness fill the chest now, into the sternum, into the space between each rib, into the lungs, already filled with air, now also filled with knowing, into that deeper compressed place where the day's weight has settled and not yet been released. Let it be known. The bathman does not work around the difficult patches. The soap must reach the center, or the dough is not truly permeated. Let several breaths move through this known chest. Each in-breath a little fuller than before. Each out-breath a small act of trust. The upper back and the shoulder blades. The posture of a busy day lives between the shoulder blades. The forward lean of concentration. The slight rounding that comes from hours of the body curling inward around the work. Bring awareness into this territory now, into the space between the shoulder blades, into the muscles running along either side of the spine, into the deep layers that are rarely reached by anything. Let it soak into the bracing that has become background noise. The shoulders. They have been carrying today. Let awareness move into them completely, into the joint itself, the top of the arm, the soft place where the neck meets the shoulder. They rise throughout a difficult day in increments too small to notice. A shoulder filled with awareness has no reason to stay raised. Let them drop. Let them be heavy and filled and done. The neck. The base of the skull. Awareness rises now through the neck, through the muscles that have held the head upright through every hour of the day, into the base of the skull where the spine meets the head. This is almost always where something is held. A tension so familiar it has become part of the background. Let awareness arrive here fully. Let it permeate even this. The jaw. The jaw holds the unsaid. Everything held back today, every word swallowed, every impulse quietly contained, much of it finds its way into the muscles here and stays. Let awareness soak into the jaw now. The teeth may part slightly as awareness arrives. The jaw may soften in a way it could not have been told to soften. This is the soap reaching the last dry patch. The face. The small muscles around the eyes, the brow, the space around the mouth. A face that has been working all day, concentrating, responding, carefully managing what it shows, finding now that none of that is needed. Let awareness fill the face completely, into the muscles around the eyes, into the forehead, into the temples. A face permeated with awareness is a face at rest. And the crown of the head, from the soles of the feet to the crown of the head, knowing each part, letting each part be known, letting awareness permeate the whole of it, the way the bathman works soap through to the very last fold of the dough. The whole body, from the bottom to the top, filled. Now stay with this. A body permeated with awareness is different from a body that has merely stopped moving. It is heavier, more present, more fully here. There is a quality of settledness that does not come from relaxation alone. It comes from being known, from having had awareness actually enter every part, rather than hover above, rather than skim the surface and move on. The old teachers understood this distinction precisely. They saw that a body truly permeated with awareness carries a kind of completeness, a sense of being entirely here, in this body, in this moment, rather than floating slightly above the body while the mind continues its business elsewhere. And in that completeness, something the mind rarely encounters during waking hours, nothing left to reach for. Feel this now. The body from the feet to the crown, filled with awareness. The breath continuing quietly through all of it. The weight of the body pressing into what is beneath, held completely, needing nothing more. Somewhere in the body, perhaps in the chest, perhaps in the shoulders, perhaps somewhere more unexpected, something has softened that could not have been instructed to soften. Awareness arrived, and the body responded. The dough gave way to the soap. The body gave way to the knowing. This is what the practice is pointing toward. A body that has been permeated with awareness is resting in being fully known, and that is a rest the thinking mind cannot manufacture on its own. Stay here. The body is settled now. The breath moves through a body that has been met, and something is beginning to shift in the mind as a consequence. The habitual grip, the reaching and reviewing, the pulling toward tomorrow, finding that the body is no longer feeding it the way it was. The grip is still present, but it has less purchase than before. It is beginning to loosen. The next teaching addresses this directly. What the mind's grip is, where it comes from, and what the tradition discovered about a mind that finally learns to let go. Notice what the mind is doing right now, not the content of the thought. What matters is the quality underneath it, the way the mind is holding. There is a texture to a gripping mind. Something tightened, something braced. A clenching that has become so familiar it no longer announces itself. You carry it the way you carry a set of keys in a pocket. Constant, unexamined, unremarkable until the moment you stop and feel the weight. Feel that texture right now, if you can. At the level of body, where does the grip live tonight? Perhaps at the jaw, a subtle hardening along the hinge. Perhaps in the shoulders, held slightly forward, as though the body is still anticipating something it needs to respond to. Perhaps in the eyes, not quite willing to rest behind their closed lids. Perhaps in the chest, where a slight holding in has been present since sometime this afternoon and simply never fully released. Just feel it. No need to name it. No need to explain how it got there. The grip is real, and it is telling you something true. The mind has been working tonight. The mind has been trying in the way that minds try when they care about something, or fear something, or cannot put something down. Huang Po, the 9th century Chan master, noticed something that most meditators overlook. The grip is not the mind. The grip is something added to the mind, something laid over the mind's natural state, the way a clenched hand wraps around something it did not mean to hold this long. He was writing from within a tradition that had observed the mind for centuries through direct practice. From the inside, as people who sat with their own minds night after night and recorded what they found there. And what they found, again and again, was this. Beneath the gripping, beneath the habit of reaching and holding, there was a quality of mind that was entirely different. He called it original nature. The mind before it learned to grip. The mind before years of conditioning built up layer by layer. Each year a little more braced, a little more defended, a little more practiced at clenching around what mattered and refusing to let it pass freely through. He wrote that the mind in its original nature is like open sky, not empty in the way a room is empty when someone has just left. Open in the way the sky is open, boundless, unobstructed, already accommodating everything that moves through it without requiring anything to slow down or stop or justify its presence. The sky does not hold the cloud. The cloud moves through sky. The sky does not change because clouds are present. It does not become a different sky on an overcast day. The sky is sky, regardless of what is happening in it. Your mind is like this. The mind underneath the gripping. The mind that was there before tonight, before this week, before everything that has built up into the particular heaviness you carried to bed with you this evening. That quality is not gone. It was never diminished. The sky does not tire from a stormy week. It does not need to recover from what moved through it. The thoughts are not the problem. Clouds are not a problem for sky. The sky does not push clouds away to remain sky. It does not become less itself when the clouds are dense. It simply continues, open, vast, already holding everything without effort. What Huang Po was pointing toward was this. The mind's original quality is already present right now, behind the clouds, behind the thought that circled back a moment ago, behind the half-remembered worry, behind the low hum of unfinished things you have been carrying somewhere beneath the surface of your awareness all day. The sky has not gone anywhere. Feel that for a moment. The sky not gone. The sky here, present, behind whatever is moving through the mind right now. It simply continues. The way sky continues through every kind of weather, through every night that felt too long to endure. Settle for a moment into the body now. Let the weight of the limbs register again. The contact with the surface beneath you, the warmth of the blanket or the slight chill of the air, the particular stillness of the room at this hour. Let the body be exactly as heavy as it is. Let it sink a little further into what is holding it. There is nothing the body needs to do right now. No adjustment required. No position to achieve. The body is already resting. What continues is happening only in the mind. The breath moves on its own. The chest rises and falls without asking permission. The blood moves, the organs work, the whole quiet machinery of the living body continues without a single instruction from you. All of this is happening right now, underneath the surface of the mind's activity. The body is already deeply at rest. What the mind believes does not change this. The mind will keep moving. That is what minds do. A thought will arrive. Perhaps it already has. And when it arrives, notice how the mind meets it. The quality of that meeting, the texture of it, rather than the content of what arrived. Does it tighten around the thought? Does it follow the thought out the way a current takes something downstream before you realize it is moving? That following, that closing around what arises, that is the grip in action. It is not a flaw. It is not evidence of a broken or undisciplined mind. It is a deeply practiced habit, refined over a lifetime of necessary engagement with a world that genuinely required you to pay attention, to respond, to hold things carefully and carry them forward. The mind learned to grip because gripping was useful, because holding was how things got done, because letting go felt, for a long time, like it cost something. The teachers in this lineage noticed something important here. The grip cannot be undone by force. If you try to pry the mind open through effort, the mind resists. It grips the instruction not to grip. It clenches around the very practice of unclenching. The harder you push, the more the mind contracts around your pushing. Huang Po's instruction moved in a different direction. Look at what the mind is doing. Simply to see it with clarity. Because the moment you see the grip, something has already shifted. You are no longer fully inside the grip. Something in you has stepped back far enough to observe. Something has widened. The Japanese word for this is mushin. The characters translate as mind without fixed dwelling. A mind that is no longer anchored in place by whatever arose. A mind that has recognized what it is doing and, in that recognition, loosened its hold enough to breathe. Mushin is not an achievement you arrive at after years of practice. It is a recognition that is available right now. The open quality is already here. It does not require earning. It does not arrive after the right number of sitting sessions or the right years of effort applied in the right direction. It is present right now, in this moment, behind the thoughts you are having about whether you are doing this correctly. The question Huang Po's teaching opens is simpler than any technique. The question is, can you feel the sky? Let that rest for a moment. There is a thought moving through the mind right now. Perhaps several. Let them be present. Do not push them away. Do not follow them either. Simply let them be what they are, passing weather in a sky that does not need to defend itself from weather. And now, beneath the thought, behind the thought, in the space in which the thought is occurring, is there something open? It may be faint, uncertain, indistinct. You are not looking for a dramatic experience. You are not waiting for clarity to arrive like light through a window. You are simply noticing the difference between the cloud and the sky the cloud is moving through. The cloud has texture, direction, a particular quality of heaviness or brightness or movement. The sky has none of these things. The sky simply holds the space in which these qualities appear. This is what Huang Po was pointing at when he spoke of the original face, the quality of awareness that was present before the habit of gripping began, before the accumulation, before everything that shaped the mind into its current form. That quality is not damaged. It cannot be damaged. The sky cannot be injured by what moves through it. Come back now to the texture of the grip, wherever you feel it in the body. The jaw, the chest, the eyes, the back of the neck. Let the attention rest on that texture with the lightest possible touch, simply to see it. The way you might notice a sound in another room, present, acknowledged, met without pursuit. Ropes unknot when you work with their own material. When you force them, they pull tighter. When you follow the twist of the knot with patience, finding where it yields, the rope begins to loosen on its own. The mind is like this. Stay with the texture of the grip for another breath. Breathe in and let the breath reach wherever the grip is living tonight. Let the breath arrive there the way warmth arrives in a cold room when someone opens a door. Gradually, unhurried, without demanding that anything change. Breathe out and notice if the texture shifts at all. Not dramatically, not completely. Even a single degree of softening is enough. Even the recognition that the grip is there is already something other than grip. Something is watching the grip right now. And the thing that is watching, that awareness itself, has no grip in it. Awareness does not clench. It does not close around what it sees. It is, by its nature, open. It is the sky, watching the cloud, unchanged by what it observes. This is what the old teachers meant by recognizing the sky. The recognition does not come from the clouds. The clouds cannot see themselves as clouds. The recognition comes from something wider, something that is already free of what the clouds are doing. Rest in that for a moment. Let the thoughts be exactly as they are. Let the grip be exactly as it is. Let the body settle further into the surface beneath you, and let the awareness remain here, spacious, unhurried, the sky behind the weather of this particular night. There is nowhere to get to. This moment, with all its clouds and grip and noise, is already inside the sky, already held inside something vast enough to contain it without effort, without struggle, without needing it to be otherwise. The body knows how to rest. The breath knows how to continue. The heart knows how to beat without instruction. The sky knows how to be sky without practice. These are not things you need to do. They are things already happening, underneath the grip, underneath the thought, underneath the effort you have made tonight to get this night to go differently than it is going. Let the effort soften now. Something has been recognized. The sky is here. The grip is inside it. And the grip is already loosening the moment it is seen, not through force, but through the simple, sustained act of looking. Stay here for a moment longer, not striving toward anything, not checking whether the practice is working, simply resting inside the awareness that sees, which is the sky itself, recognizing itself behind all the weather it has been holding. This quality of awareness, the one that is watching right now, the one that has been here this entire time, through every thought and every grip and every turn of the mind tonight. This is what the tradition was always pointing toward. A recognition to receive, rather than a state to achieve. You are already the sky. You were the sky when the first thought arrived tonight. You were the sky when the grip tightened. You were the sky when you could not sleep, when the mind circled, when it rehearsed, when it worried through the same material again. The sky did not leave during any of that. It was holding all of it, the whole time, in its characteristic way, open, vast, unchanged. Take a slow breath here, and on the exhale, let the awareness expand slightly, outward, in all directions, the way sky has no edges. There is nothing to hold on to in this awareness. Nothing to keep. Just this, the open quality that has been here all along, watching, holding, unchanged. This is Mushin, a mind that has remembered what it is, the sky that holds the cloud, the awareness that holds the thought, the open quality that has been present all along behind the habit of holding. Breathe here for another moment, in the space between thoughts, in the open that surrounds every word that arises and passes, in the ground that was never disturbed by any of it. What you are touching now, this faint widening, this slight easing, has a name in the tradition. Passaddhi, tranquility, the natural quieting that comes when the mind's long grip begins to release. Arrived at naturally, the way water settles when you stop stirring it. The next teaching names this quality and shows how to let it deepen. Right now, if the attention is quiet enough to feel it, something is already arriving, not being manufactured, not being earned, arriving. The way a room cools after the heat breaks outside, gradually, without announcement, and then suddenly unmistakable. This is passaddhi, the Pali word the tradition uses for tranquility. And the teaching that surrounds it in the Samyutta Nikaya is surprising because it does not tell you how to achieve passaddhi. It tells you what passaddhi is, a nutriment, the same word used for food, the thing the body receives when the conditions are right. When the body is open, when the body has stopped bracing, when the body has finally set down what it has been carrying long enough to let something else enter. You cannot force yourself to absorb food. You can eat. What happens after that is not up to you. The body takes over. The body does what only bodies know how to do. Passaddhi works the same way. Everything that has happened in this sitting, the breath felt, the body scanned, the grip seen and named and seen again, the sky recognized behind the clouds. That was the preparation. What is happening now is the absorption. Let it happen. There is a particular quality to this kind of letting happen. It requires a different muscle than effort does. Effort says push. This says open. Effort builds towards something. This yields towards something. The distinction is small in the body and enormous in its effect. The difference between water flowing freely and water pressing against a closed door. Most of the difficulty of nights like this one is the effort to end the difficulty. The mind trying to stop the mind from moving. The body trying to force itself into the shape of sleep. Every technique reaching for the thing that can only be received, and in the reaching, pushing it further away. Passaddhi knows this. The tradition knew this, which is why the instruction is not to try harder. It is to stop trying in a different way, to replace effort with availability, reaching with openness, the clenched hand with the open palm, the palm open, ready. The image the tradition gives is specific. A traveler on a long road in summer heat. The sun unrelenting. The road dry, the dust rising with every step. The body carrying everything it carries, weight and fatigue and the particular heaviness of a day that has asked too much. And then the traveler rounds a bend and finds a tree. Shade. Water. A place to set the pack down. The relief is not something the traveler does. The relief is what the body does the moment the conditions are right. The shoulders drop before the mind registers the decision to drop them. The chest opens. The jaw releases. The legs, so long accustomed to moving, discover what it feels like to simply rest on the ground. When the traveler sets the pack down under that tree, the first thing the body does is forget how heavy the pack was. Not because the weight is gone, the pack is still there, but because the body is no longer carrying it. The body can finally feel what it feels like in itself, without the weight. The face softens in a way it does not soften through effort, only through release, only through the body recognizing below the level of thought that this is the place where it is allowed to stop. That is what passaddhi feels like when it arrives. And it is arriving now, as you lie here, as the body grows heavier and the breath grows slower and the grip that has held the mind all day begins, in the most incremental way, to lose its authority. The Buddha taught this as a factor of awakening, one of 7. Its position in the sequence matters. It follows investigation, energy, and rapture. It comes after the intense phases, after the effort, as though the tradition is saying, there is a time to exert, and there is a time to receive, and the receiving is itself a form of practice, not a rest from it. This is the time to receive. The tradition distinguishes 2 streams of passaddhi: kaya passaddhi, tranquility of the body, and citta passaddhi, tranquility of the mind. They are not identical, and they do not arrive at the same moment, but they travel together. When one settles, the other is drawn towards settling. When one softens, the other follows. Bring the attention to the hands, wherever they are resting. The weight of them, the warmth or coolness of the palms, the particular shape the fingers have settled into. Are they slightly curled? Is there a residual readiness in them, a subtle bracing to reach or hold? Let the hands open slightly, just open enough to release whatever shape they were holding, enough to let the palms become passive against the surface beneath them. Feel that change, the palms releasing downward. This is kaya passaddhi beginning. This small increment of the body releasing its readiness is the body learning, in the most direct way possible, that there is nothing here that needs to be held tonight. Now the face, the brow, the space between the eyes, where so much of the day has been concentrated, the narrowing that attention requires, the slight contraction of focus that becomes so habitual it stays even when nothing needs to be focused on. The jaw, the muscles around the eyes, still working in ways the eyes do not require when they are closed. Let the face go, in the way fabric settles when you stop holding it taut, the tension draining from the edges inward, slowly, the whole surface becoming heavier, softer, more itself. This is kaya passaddhi deepening, the body discovering what it is like when it is not performing, not managing, not bracing, not holding a shape against something that is no longer here. Simply present, simply physical, simply here, in this room, at this hour, with nowhere to be until morning. Let the exhale lengthen slightly on the next breath out. The exhale is always the releasing half, the body's own letting go, built into every breath, practiced without being called practice, thousands of times a day. Let this exhale carry a little more of whatever the body is still holding. The breath is the most reliable guide into this territory. It does not require interpretation. It does not require belief. It is simply moving, right now, at the pace the body has decided is correct for this moment. Trust that pace. The body knows more about rest than the mind does. Let a breath happen now without shaping it. Whatever length it takes, whatever depth it finds, let it be entirely the body's choice. Watch it arrive and pass. Watch the next one arrive. The body is already doing this correctly. It has been doing it correctly for as long as you have been alive. And on the next exhale, let the weight of the whole body increase. The back of the head, the shoulders, the length of the spine, the hips, the heels, every point of contact, a place of receiving rather than holding. The body pressing gently into what is beneath it, and what is beneath it meeting the body, supporting without effort the way the ground always does. And as the body settles, notice what happens in the mind. Perhaps the thoughts are still moving. They may be. Chitta passaddhi does not mean the absence of thought. It means the thoughts have lost their urgency. They arrive and pass with less insistence, less weight behind them, less of the quality that makes you follow them before you notice you are following. The pool clearing, a pool that has been stirred, the silt rising, the water opaque, nothing visible beneath the surface. When the stirring stops, the water does not immediately clear. It takes time. The silt settles in layers, the heaviest first, then the finer material, each layer requiring its own time. And then, gradually, the water begins to become itself again, transparent, still, the ground of the pool visible, everything revealed as it always was, simply obscured by the movement. Your mind is the pool. The stirring has been real. Real pressures, real concerns, real demands that required the mind to move and keep moving. And it has been slowing, incrementally, since the first breath was noticed. Since the body was first felt, since the grip was seen and the sky recognized behind it, all of that was the cessation of stirring. And now the water is beginning to clear. The pool is not trying to clear. Clearing is what pools do when stirring stops. The mind is not trying to settle. Settling is what the mind does when the conditions allow it. You have been building those conditions this whole time. Let the pool do what pools do. Notice the quality of the thoughts moving through the mind now. Are they the same weight as the thoughts at the beginning of this sitting? Do they insist with the same authority? Let the thoughts occupy whatever space they occupy without filling all the space available. The mind is larger than its contents. The water is not its disturbance. The disturbance moved through it. What the water is, in itself, is clear. Rest here. Let the mist spread now. Let it reach the center of the mind. Let it arrive wherever the last traces of urgency are still held. Quietly, without pressure, the way mist simply settles on whatever surface is beneath it. In the stillness collecting at the edges of the mind, the way that mist collects at the edges of a field in the early hours, spreading inward from the margins, soft, gradual, unhurried. This is not a small thing. The tradition places passaddhi among the factors of awakening because this quality, this receiving, this settling, this clearing, is not merely comfort. It is a form of clarity. When the pool clears, what becomes visible is what was always there, beneath the disturbance. The actual ground. A mind settled in passaddhi does not carry the same weight into tomorrow that it carried into tonight. Something has been restored that was depleted. Some ground has been recovered that the long hours of gripping had quietly eroded, so gradually you did not notice it going. There is a quality to this recovery that is difficult to name and easy to miss if you are looking for something dramatic. It is not a flood of well-being. It is not the end of everything difficult. It is quieter than that. The sensation of a foundation becoming detectable again, the way you notice solid ground after a long time on water. Subtle, unmistakable. A quality that was present all along, beneath the disturbance, now available to stand on again. Feel that right now, if you can, the quiet on the other side of the effort, the resource that surfaces when the noise steps back, the particular steadiness that is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of something solid enough to meet it. Passaddhi at full depth is not only soft, it carries weight. The weight of a pool that has stilled and revealed how deep it actually is. The weight of ground recovered. A quiet resource that the exhausted surface of the mind was covering all along. This is what rest is for. Restoration. The actual rebuilding of what fatigue has stripped. The return of something essential. The renewal of ground. The tradition understood this with a clarity the modern world has mostly lost. That rest is not the absence of work. It is work of a different kind. The work the body and mind can only do when they are no longer being asked to do anything else. Breathe here in that depth. In the quality of this moment, the body settled, the mind quieting, the pool beginning to show the ground it was always standing on. What the next teaching holds is this. The tradition knew how to bring this stillness all the way into the body's own posture of rest. How the act of lying down, done with a particular quality of attention, is not the end of practice. It is practice in one of its most deliberate forms, the way the tradition's greatest teachers chose, at the end, to rest. There is a posture the tradition calls sihaseyya, the lion's posture. On the right side, the body slightly drawn in, the earth beneath, and the mind, whatever state it is in, still present, still knowing. This is how the tradition's greatest teachers chose to rest. The ancient text records it plainly, without drama. In the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, the long text of the Buddha's final days, when he lay down for the last time, he arranged himself into sihaseyya. Right side, one foot over the other, the mind collected and clear. And the text does not say he stopped practicing. It says he lay down sato sampajano, present and clearly knowing. Those two words travel together through the entire canon. Sato, present. Sampajano, clearly knowing. They are the instruction that accompanies walking practice, standing practice, sitting practice. And they are here, in this posture, in this text, as insistently as anywhere else. The tradition named 4 postures of practice: walking, standing, sitting, lying down. Not 3 with a 4th allowed as a concession. 4. Each given the same instruction, the same quality of attention, the same 2 words, sato, sampajano. What the tradition understood, and what often gets lost in the transmission of practice to the modern world, is that lying down asks something of you. It is not the posture you fall into when all others have failed. It is the posture that asks you to remain present inside the complete surrender of the vertical body. When you stand, the body is braced, held upright against gravity. There is a kind of effort already present in standing that keeps the mind from drifting too far. When you sit, there is a similar quality, the spine lengthening, the body in dialogue with its own weight. But when you lie down, all of that holding releases. Gravity has won. The body is given entirely over to the surface beneath it. And in that release, something becomes possible that is very difficult to access any other way. The mind, stripped of the effort of maintaining the body, can finally show itself as it actually is. Notice it right now. Feel where the body is making contact with the surface beneath you. The weight of the shoulders, the particular angle of the hips, the heaviness at the back of the skull where it rests against the pillow. These are not incidental sensations. They are the lived texture of sihaseyya, the posture of rest as practice. Every point of contact is a point of practice. The body is already in the teaching, not because you have arranged it carefully, but because sihaseyya is here, and so are you. The tradition would have you know, what is touching the earth right now is not the weight of failure. It is the weight of a body that has held itself upright all day and has been released. The surface receiving you is not indifferent. In the old teachings, the earth itself is understood to be witnessing, receiving, holding what it is given. Sato sampajano, present and clearly knowing. What does this feel like when the body is horizontal? When you sit in meditation, the body's upright position creates a natural anchor for the attention. The spine is a column you can return to. But in sihaseyya, the spine is no longer a column. It is a line, a riverbed, lying in the direction of rest. The anchor shifts. It becomes the length of the body itself, the breath moving through it, the sequence of sensations from the feet to the crown. Bring the attention to the breath now, not to change it, not to deepen it or slow it, just to feel how the breath moves in a body that is not upright. The chest rises differently here. The belly releases in a different rhythm. The breath in this posture moves through a landscape that gravity has already softened. This is sampajano, clearly knowing. Not the clear knowing of analysis, or the clear knowing of having understood a teaching. The clear knowing of a body being exactly where it is, felt from the inside, without distance. The breath enters. The chest opens slightly, then releases. The belly follows. The entire cycle happening inside a body that is horizontal, held, resting. The old teachers notice something about this posture that gets overlooked. It requires a particular kind of intention to inhabit. Most people endure the horizontal position of sleeplessness. They lie in it waiting for the mind to slow, waiting for the body to finally release, waiting for morning if nothing else arrives. The waiting is its own particular suffering, a vigilance masquerading as stillness. Sihaseyya is not waiting. It is the decision to be present inside the body's rest, not to monitor whether rest is arriving. The one who waits for sleep is a subject waiting for an object. The one who rests in sihaseyya is simply here, in this posture, with sato sampajano. Present and clearly knowing that the feet are heavy, that the breath is slow, that this moment is the only one available. That is the shift the tradition is offering. Not a technique for producing sleep, but a way of inhabiting the body's natural posture of rest with the same quality of presence you would bring to sitting, or walking, or standing at the edge of a still morning. Who is not a prisoner of the night, but a practitioner within it. Someone who has given the posture of rest the same dignity the tradition gave it, the dignity of a name, a teaching, an instruction. Feel the specific points of contact again. However you are lying, on the side or on the back, or some arrangement the body has drifted into, there are places where the body meets the surface beneath it. Let the attention move through them. Unhurried. Not looking for anything. Just making contact. The heel of the foot where it presses into the mattress. The back of the calf, the weight of it resting. The heaviness of the thighs, all that musculature that carried the day, finally released. The low back, settling. The shoulder blades, the upper back, the ridge of the shoulders. The back of the skull. These are not separate sensations. They are one continuous body, one continuous contact with the surface that is holding it. Linger there for a moment. The length of the contact. How much of the body is actually resting against something solid right now? There is more of it than the mind usually accounts for. The mind, most of the day, is busy elsewhere, in planning, in memory, in the management of what is coming. It doesn't register the back of the calf, or the specific weight of the hips, or the way the shoulder blades spread slightly when the back releases against something flat. But those sensations are there regardless. The body in contact with the world receiving the body. Sampajano is simply turning the attention toward what is already happening. The earth receives what is given to it. The old teachers understood this as something more than a physical fact. The earth receives without judgment, without categorizing what it is holding as a success or a failure, a rested person or a troubled one. It simply holds. And what is held, when it stops fighting the holding, begins to rest. Sato Sampajano. When the practice traditions speak of clearly knowing, they do not mean knowing in the way you know a fact about the world. They mean the knowing that is already happening inside the body before any thought arrives to name it. The knowing that the foot is heavy. The knowing that the breath has slowed. The knowing that the place between the shoulder blades has finally released the tension it carried since the morning. These are not thoughts about the body. They are the body knowing itself through the quality of attention that rests inside it. Present, in this posture, clearly knowing that this is the posture, that the body is here, that the breath is here, that the night, whatever quality it carries, is the field inside which practice is happening. This is the quiet at the center of what the tradition calls sihaseyya. Not absence, not unconsciousness, not the mind simply switched off, but a particular quality of wakefulness that has released the need to stand upright. That has given the body back to gravity and kept the attention present inside the gift. The lion does not sleep anxiously. The lion rests with the same quality it brings to everything else, complete, occupying the position entirely without a single part of itself elsewhere. The old teachers observed this about the lion's rest. It is not inert. A lion at rest retains the quality of a lion. The muscles are loose, the eyes closed, the body given to the ground, and yet there is no confusion about what that body is. The restfulness does not erase the nature of the one resting. In the same way, the practice tradition understood that the practitioner in sihaseyya does not become a different kind of being by lying down. The awareness that sat in meditation this morning, the attention that walked and stood and moved through the day, that same quality is here, resting inside the horizontal body, unchanged in its nature, changed only in its posture. That completeness is available right now, not as an achievement, as a recognition. The body is already here. The breath is already here. The posture is already the posture. The only move left is to let the attention settle into what is already so. Right now, whatever the mind brought into this night, whatever it is still turning over, there is also this. The body occupying the position entirely, not waiting to occupy it once things settle, not reserving its presence for when the mind cooperates. Already fully here, already fully given to the surface receiving it. The mind may still be moving. The body has already arrived. And the practice, in this moment, is to let the attention follow the body's lead. To come down into the weight of it, the groundedness of it, the simple fact of it. There is a kind of courage in this that goes unnoticed. To lie down inside a difficult night and choose presence. Not the performance of relaxation, not a strategy for producing sleep, but actual presence with the weight and the breath and the contact and the quality of the mind as it is. This is the hardest thing the horizontal posture asks. It is easier to drift. Easier to follow a thought into its corridor and walk there for a while. Easier to replay the day, or rehearse the one that is coming, or build a story around the sleeplessness that makes the sleeplessness mean something. Presence inside the posture asks you to let the corridor close. To come back to the weight of the body, the breath, the points of contact. Not once, but again. And again. Each return is the practice. Each small decision to come back to sihaseyya is the practice the tradition named and honored. What the old teachers understood is this: the mind that returns, again, to the body, is not failing. It is not demonstrating its weakness. Returning means the presence was real enough to notice the wandering. Each return is the practice completing itself. The text does not say the Buddha lay down and immediately entered peace. It says he lay down sato sampajano, present and clearly knowing. Whatever arose inside the knowing, he was there for it. The clarity was not the absence of experience. It was the quality of the presence within experience. Presence within experience means this: the body is in sihaseyya, the mind is with the body, and the quality of the mind is open. Not pushed closed against what is arising. Not trying to redirect sensation towards something more acceptable. Open to the weight, the breath, the quality of the night air, the texture of what the mind is holding. This is the lion's particular alertness, not the vigilance of anxiety, which scans for threat, but the alertness of a creature that knows it is exactly where it is, and finds no argument with that. That same quality is available here. Not as inheritance, or as something earned through years of sitting practice, or as the property of a particular kind of person. It is available here because the instruction is here. Sato sampajano, and the posture is here, and the body is already inside it. Let the breath move through the body once more. Slowly, Feel the rise of the chest, the small expansion, the release. And in that release, the body settles a fraction further into the surface beneath it. Not because it is trying to, because release is what release does. The body does not need to be coached toward this. It has been releasing since the first time it found a surface to rest on. The intelligence of it is older than any instruction. The posture holds you exactly the way the night holds everything, without asking what the day was or what this night has cost you. Sato Sampajano. You are present. You know that you are present. That is enough. That has always been enough. What arises next in this practice is something the tradition called metta, a quality the heart generates toward itself and others when the conditions are right. A quality the old teachers discovered has its own power to soften what the night has hardened. A quality that begins, always, with the self. The mind at night has a quality the metta teachings knew well. It turns inward the way a hand turns a stone over, examining the underside, finding fault, tallying what was insufficient. The day reviewed and found wanting. The self assessed and found wanting. It is a particular kind of wakefulness, this nocturnal accounting, and the tradition addressed it directly. The Karaniya-metta Sutta, the discourse on loving kindness, does not open with a doctrine. It opens with a list of qualities. What the practitioner should be: straightforward, gentle in speech, contented, unburdened, calm. And then, from this ground of qualities cultivated, the teaching gives its central instruction: radiate boundless goodwill in every direction. Above, below, across. To all beings without obstruction, without hatred, without ill will. What the teaching assumes, and what gets overlooked in transmission, is that the practitioner is also a being. Inside the field of all beings, the one practicing is included. The tradition is not describing an outward movement of the heart that skips over the one sending it. It is describing a quality that originates in the practitioner's own chest and moves outward from there, which means it must, first, be present in that chest. This is where the old teachers always began. With you. Not as a warm-up exercise before the real practice. As the root of it. Most people in a sleepless night are operating without permission, not consciously denying themselves rest or peace, but carrying a background assumption so habitual it has become invisible that the goodwill they might extend to others is not available to them. The same person who would feel genuine care for a friend lying awake in distress, who would want ease for that friend, would wish them peace, would offer comfort without condition, does not make that movement toward themselves. The door is open in one direction only. The care flows outward with no hesitation. Toward the self, the same quality pauses, finds reasons to withhold, decides the conditions for receiving are not yet met. This is the asymmetry the metta tradition addressed before any other. The metta tradition noticed this asymmetry. The Pali word metta itself is related to the word for friend, metta. The practice, as the old teachers gave it, begins by asking, can you be a genuine friend to yourself? Not demanding, not corrective, not the internal voice that reviews the day and finds the places it fell short. A genuine friend, the kind that sees you clearly and wishes you well anyway. The kind that does not require you to be different before it offers kindness. The Karanaya Metta offers an image for this. A mother, it says, protecting her only child with her own life. The love in that image is not earned, not conditional on the child having performed well, or been easy, or fulfilled what was hoped for. It is the love that precedes judgment, that lives underneath judgment, that would not withdraw if judgment arrived. Even so, the teaching says, cultivate a boundless mind toward all beings. The only child in that image can be you, the one in this body, lying in this posture, in this particular night. The one who has been tired for a long time, possibly. The one who has been harder on themselves than they would be on anyone they loved. The one whose accounting, even now, is not finished. The tradition says, this one deserves what you would give to the child in that image. Bring that image into the body for a moment. The mother and the only child. The love that precedes judgment. Now ask, what would it feel like, even for a few breaths, to be on the receiving end of that? Not performing the feeling, not deciding whether it is warranted. Just allowing the question to sit in the chest alongside the breath. This is where the practice lives, not in understanding the teaching, but in the small opening that can occur when a question is held without being immediately answered. Now come into the body again. Feel the weight of it in this posture. The contact with the surface beneath. The breath moving slowly through the chest. This body has been carrying this person through an entire life. Through every difficult day, every night of insufficient sleep, every moment of effort and failure and return. It has not stopped. It is not stopping now. It continues, steadily, without requiring anything from the one inside it. Every breath since the moment of waking arrived without instruction. The body did not wait for permission to keep going. It has been more faithful to you than perhaps you have known how to be to yourself. The metta practice begins here. By making, even once, the gesture of goodwill that goes in this direction. The words of the practice are simple. They are old words, worn smooth by long use, and they carry their meaning in the feel of them as much as in the sense. The tradition gives them in 4 movements. Let them arrive here as sounds inside the body, as something felt rather than thought. May I be well. Feel that landing. Not as a statement of fact, but as a wish. A genuine wish directed at yourself with the same quality of intention you would bring to wishing it for someone you care for. The mind may resist it, may offer immediately the reasons it doesn't apply, the ways the wish seems naive or unearned. That is the mind doing what it does. Let it be noted, and then return to the wish. The practice is not the absence of resistance, but the willingness to make the gesture again after the resistance speaks. May I be well. Again. To yourself. From yourself. Where in the body does that wish want to go? Follow it there. The chest, perhaps, the sternum area, the space behind the ribs. Perhaps the throat, or the belly, or some unnamed center of gravity that shifts when the attention turns inward with care rather than judgment. These locations are not symbolic. They are where the body actually registers the quality of how the attention is turned. When the attention is critical, the body registers it. When the attention carries the quality of genuine goodwill, the body registers that too. Differently. Noticeably differently. If the body is given a few breaths of stillness in which to feel the difference, may I be at peace. Peace lands in a different register of the body. Well is about the whole, the general state of a life, the broadness of health and functioning. Peace is about this moment. The quality of what is present right now, in this chest, in this breath, in this particular night. Whether the mind is still moving or not. Peace is available even when the mind is moving. The old teachers knew this. They would not have offered the wish if it were not sometimes accessible. Feel the body again as the wish settles into it. The weight of the shoulders, the slow breath, the surface beneath receiving the body's weight, the wish for peace sent to the one inside this body. May I be at peace. Let it echo once. Let it find the place in the chest that most needs to hear it. Notice what the chest is doing right now. Not what you think it should be doing. What it is actually doing. There may be tightness, the particular grip of the night around the heart area. There may be a slight holding of the breath, as if even breathing fully requires a permission that hasn't quite been given. Or there may already be, after the wishes, a fractional opening, something slightly less constricted than it was a minute ago. Whatever is there, it is the truth of what the body is carrying. Metta does not ask you to override it. It asks you to include it, to send the wish of peace directly into the tightness if tightness is what is present. May I be free from suffering. This one has more weight to it. The word behind it, dukkha, carries more than pain in the clinical sense. It carries the particular ache of a life that keeps turning, of wanting things to be otherwise, of being unable to settle into what is actually present, because what is actually present does not feel like enough. That quality is very much present in a sleepless night. To say, "May I be free from suffering," is to acknowledge that it is present and to extend goodwill toward the one who is bearing it. Not to demand it leave. Not to pretend it isn't there. To meet it with the quality of a genuine friend, one who sees clearly and wishes well anyway. May I be free from suffering. Feel the wish go toward the part of you that is most tired. The part that has been carrying something it didn't ask to carry. The part that is still awake right now, not entirely of its own choosing. May I be happy. Perhaps the strangest wish to say in a difficult night. Happiness can seem like a category error when the body is exhausted and the mind is still awake. But the tradition did not mean a performed happiness, or a happiness contingent on circumstances resolving. It meant sukha, an ease that is the opposite of dukkha, a quality of inner lightness, an openness to the possibility that this moment, even this one, could carry some small quality of ease. To wish yourself sukha is to remain open to that possibility, to not close against it entirely, to leave a door slightly ajar, even in the night, even when nothing is resolved. May I be happy. May this body, in this posture, be touched by ease. This is what permission means in the metta tradition. Permission is the decision to include yourself inside the circle of beings toward whom you direct goodwill. To stop exempting yourself from the care you would readily extend outward. To make the movement, perhaps for the first time tonight, of turning that quality of heart toward its own source. The old teachers observed that metta practiced consistently changes the texture of the mind. Not its content. The problems remain, the responsibilities remain, the questions remain unresolved. But the quality in which the mind holds these things shifts. From the tightness of self-judgment to something slightly more spacious. From the vigilance of the night's accounting to something that can rest inside the unresolved. The problems are still present after metta. The night is still the same length. What changes is the quality inside which awareness holds what it cannot yet set down, and that change is not nothing. Come back to the breath now. Feel the chest rise, the slow fall, the particular quality of the body in sihaseyya, settled, held, present. The mind that has been offered the 4 wishes and received them, or resisted them, or partially received them. All of this is the practice. What matters is not whether the heart opened completely on the first pass. What matters is that the gesture was made, A gesture repeated becomes a quality. The small movement of turning goodwill toward yourself, made once and again on the next difficult night, becomes, over time, the way the heart sits inside its own experience. Hear the 4 wishes again. This time not as instructions, but as something offered, as if they were being said to you by something that knows you entirely and finds nothing that makes them inapplicable. May you be well. May you be at peace. May you be free from suffering. May you be happy. Feel the body receiving these, not deciding whether they are deserved. Just receiving them the way the earth receives what falls on it, without deciding whether the rain was warranted. There is a specific quality that arises when metta reaches the self and is genuinely received. The old teachers described it in physical terms because that is where it lives. A kind of warmth in the chest, not heat, not emotion in the dramatic sense, but a quality of softening, as if something that had been held tightly begins, just slightly, to loosen its grip. The jaw relaxes a degree. The space around the heart feels fractionally larger. The breath, which has been shallow, finds a little more room. Not because the practice is working the way a technique works, but because something in the body responds to being turned toward, even once, with genuine goodwill. The same way a person responds to being seen kindly after a long time of not being seen that way at all. The old teachers also noted this, the heart that is genuinely included in the practice, that has received rather than only given, becomes a different kind of instrument for the outward extension of metta. When the goodwill has first been turned inward and received, even partially, what moves outward toward others carries the quality of something that has actually passed through the one sending it. Not a wish made from the outside of experience, but from inside it. From the ground of someone who knows what it is to need kindness, and has allowed, once, to receive some. The night does not have to change. Sleep does not have to arrive. The mind does not have to quiet completely. None of these conditions are required for metta to be present. Metta is a quality of heart that can exist alongside exhaustion, alongside anxiety, alongside the unfinished thinking of an unsettled mind. It does not require good conditions. It is a response to conditions exactly as they are. You are not the exception. You have never been the exception. The teaching did not leave you out. In the lion's posture, in sihaseyya, the body is already still. The passaddhi, the tranquility that arrived in the previous teaching, has softened what it could reach. The mind's grip has loosened around what it was holding. These are the conditions in which metta has the best chance of landing fully, not because the night is comfortable, but because the practice has been preparing this ground all along. One more time. The 4 wishes. Slowly. Once more. As if for the first time. May I be well. May I be at peace. May I be free from suffering. May I be happy. Let them rest in the body. Let them settle the way a hand settles onto a shoulder, not pressing, not demanding a response, just resting there with the weight of genuine care. This is the practice, the tradition called the beginning. From here, the goodwill extends. To others the practitioner knows and loves, to those they feel neutral toward, to those they find difficult, to all beings in all directions without limit. But it cannot move outward in that way if it has not first been established at its source. And its source is here, in this body, in this chest, in the willingness to direct goodwill toward the one who has been lying awake in the dark. This is not a small thing. The old teachers named it a practice, not a technique, because returning is what it asks. The night holds something different when you are no longer its critic. When the accounting pauses, even briefly, what the night holds is simply this: a person lying down in sihaseyya, accompanied, not alone inside the difficulty of the hour, accompanied by their own goodwill, which turns out, when genuinely offered, to be a different kind of company than the night usually provides. What opens next is the place all of these teachings have been preparing toward. The motion of the mind released, the passaddhi of the body settled, the sihaseyya of the posture inhabited, the metta of the heart offered, all arriving together, in the same breath, in the same body. Rest, as the tradition meant it. Not the absence of wakefulness, but its deepest quality. You are already here. The practice has not taken you somewhere else. It has brought you more fully into the body you were already lying in, the night you were already inside, the breath that was already moving without your instruction. You do not need to arrive. You are already at the destination the practice was moving toward. This body, this breath, this moment of being awake in the dark, this is where all of it lands. The warmth of the blanket against the skin, the weight of the body pressing into the mattress, the slight movement of the air with each breath. All of this is the teaching made physical. All of this is what the practice was pointing toward. The teaching does not ask you to change what is present. It asks only that you let what is present be fully received, without condition, without defense. Notice that the body feels different from the body that began this practice. Not different in its weight or its temperature, different in what it is holding now and what it has been willing to release. The muscles have changed their relationship with gravity. The chest has opened even slightly in the breathing that is happening on its own. Something that was gripping has loosened its grip without being instructed to loosen it. Notice this without trying to deepen it. The noticing itself is the practice. This is not a preparation for something else. This is the thing itself, arriving exactly here. The sky quality the earlier teaching pointed toward is perceptible now in a way it may not have been when you first lay down. The thoughts are still moving. The mind has not gone silent. But the space in which the thoughts arise feels wider than the thoughts themselves. You can sense the awareness that is holding the thoughts, and the awareness is not troubled by their presence. When Huang Po described the mind as sky, he was not offering a metaphor to think about. He was pointing at something that can be sensed directly, the quality of consciousness that remains unchanged no matter what arises within it. The sky does not resist the clouds. The sky does not invite the clouds either. The sky is simply larger than anything that moves through it. In this moment, notice whether the awareness holding your thoughts feels larger than the thoughts themselves. Whether the space in which the mind is moving feels wider than the mind's content. This is not something to create. It is something to notice. It is already here, in this room, in this body, in this moment of lying still in the dark. Mushin is the word the old teachers used for this quality. The mind without added holding, the awareness that receives without gripping, the sky that lets the clouds pass without becoming the clouds. The mind right now has that quality available to it. The practice has been moving toward this all along, removing the habits that were obscuring something that was always present. A thought arises. The sky receives it. A sensation moves through the body. The sky receives that too. Nothing needs to be pushed away. Nothing needs to be held onto. The sky is large enough for all of it, and the sky remains undisturbed by what passes through it. Feel the quality of that undisturbed openness right now. Feel it as a physical sensation in the chest, in the throat, in the space behind the eyes. The tradition taught for centuries that this openness is the ground of all practice, not a state to be achieved, but the base from which all achievement arises and to which it eventually returns. The openness that was always there, revealed simply by the act of stopping and lying still in the dark. The tranquility is here too. Feel it in the body first, in the way the shoulders have given up their argument with the pillow, in the way the legs have stopped preparing for movement, in the way the hands have uncurled from whatever they were holding. The old teachers called this passaddhi, body tranquility and mind tranquility arriving together, the way two rivers meet and become one body of water moving in the same direction. It was the fifth factor in the awakening chain, the factor the tradition described as something that deepens with practice and cannot be manufactured by effort alone. The body received it first tonight. The muscles gave way before the mind was willing to give way. The weight settled into the earth before the thoughts were ready to settle. And now the mind follows, the way a disturbed pool slowly clears when the hand that was stirring it has been stilled and left to rest. Feel the clearing happening in the chest right now. Feel it as a physical event, a gradual loosening of something that was held, a subtle opening in the middle of the body, a quality of settling that hovers at the threshold of sleep, luminous and quiet, neither grasping for the next thought nor turning away from what is present. Passaddhi is not something imported from outside. It is the body's own intelligence returning to itself when the interference stops. The practice created the conditions. The tranquility is arriving by itself, the way light arrives in a room when the shutters are opened. The earth is receiving the full weight of the body now. Feel this specifically. The points of contact between the body and the surface it is resting on, the way the earth pushes back with exactly the pressure needed to hold you. Not more than is needed, not less. Exactly what the weight requires. This is the posture the tradition preserved in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta. The lion's posture, the right side resting, the mind present, the awareness clear. Sihaseyya, the resting posture of one who is fully awake. The tradition assigned this posture a specific quality. It was not the posture of unconsciousness or escape. It was the posture of a being who had set down everything that could be set down and was resting with full awareness in what remained. The earth beneath you is doing what earth has always done, receiving, holding, bearing the full weight without condition or qualification. It does not ask what you deserve before offering its support. It does not review the record of the day before receiving the body's weight. The earth receives the full weight completely, right now, without reservation. This is what the lion's posture recognizes. That the body belongs to the earth as much as it belongs to the mind, and that giving the weight to what can hold it is intelligence. It is the body returning to what has been holding it all along. Let the earth hold more of the weight now. Whatever the shoulders are still bracing, whatever the jaw is still holding closed, whatever the hands have curled themselves around in the hours since the day ended, whatever the chest has been protecting since you lay down, these do not need to be resolved before the body can rest. They do not need to be understood before the weight can be given to the earth. The earth does not need an explanation. It needs only the weight itself, offered without condition. And in this offering, something that has been working very hard can finally stop working. The body does not need to hold itself up anymore. The earth is doing that. It has been doing that all along, without being asked, without tiring, without needing acknowledgement. Feel the warmth that is present in the chest now. This is the quality of the metta that moved through the practice. The goodwill the heart generates toward itself when the conditions allow it to do so freely. The Karaniya Metta Sutta described it as the quality a mother feels toward her only child. Not a sentiment to perform, not a feeling manufactured on demand, but a state of sustained warmth that does not require justification. That quality was directed toward you tonight by the voice that offered the 4 wishes, and by the part of the heart that was able to receive them, even partially, even reluctantly. May I be well. May I be at peace. May I be free from suffering. May I be happy. Those words have moved through the chest. They have touched something there. And the warmth present now is not something brought in from outside. It was always here. The heart's own capacity for goodwill toward the one it has been hardest on, waiting for the moment when it was allowed to surface. The metta teachings were clear about this. The goodwill must begin with the self before it can extend anywhere else. The heart cannot offer to others what it has refused to itself. Tonight, it offered something to itself. That offering is still present in the chest, as warmth, as a subtle softening, as the quiet experience of being accompanied by the heart's own goodwill. The breath is not doing something different from what it has always done, but what surrounds it has changed. An hour ago, this breath was moving through a body that was braced against the night, through a chest that had not yet received its own goodwill, through a mind still placing itself between the body and the rest the body was asking for, through muscles that had not yet given the weight to what was already holding them. That body is still here. That mind is still here. But both have been touched by what moved through them in this practice. The breath is now moving through a body that has given more of its weight to the earth, through a chest that has been met by its own warmth, through an awareness that has found, even briefly, the sky beneath the weather. The same breath, in a different quality of holding. Receive the next breath now. In through the nostrils, moving through a chest that is softer than it was. Out, releasing whatever the lungs have been carrying. The body breathing itself, the awareness resting in the breath moving through the open sky of the mind. The night itself has been holding all of this. The darkness outside the window, the silence that the daytime never allows. The particular quality of a night in which the house is asleep and one person is still awake, not in the grip of insomnia, but inside a practice that has been moving through the body and the mind for the past hour. The tradition practiced in the night deliberately. The vigils, the pre-dawn sittings, the walking meditations that began in darkness. These were not accidents of schedule. The night has a quality that the day obscures. A quality of stripping away, of removing the noise that makes the deeper signal hard to hear. In the quiet of this night, that deeper signal has been audible. The sky quality in the awareness. The tranquility in the body. The earth receiving the weight. The warmth in the chest. The night has been the container for all of it, and the night asks nothing of you now except this: to remain inside it, held, still, breathing. All 4 of these qualities are present in the body right now. Not sequentially, not as a checklist completed, but the way warmth arrives in a room that has finally been allowed to hold heat. The sky quality in the awareness, receiving thought without being defined by it. The tranquility moving through the chest, the way clarity returns to a pool that has been allowed to still. The lion's posture receiving the full weight of the body with the dignity, the tradition assigned to it. The heart accompanied by its own goodwill, quietly, without ceremony. Each one present in the body right now, in this moment. These are not 4 separate teachings that happen to be gathered here tonight. They are one quality, arriving from 4 directions at once, meeting in the body that is lying here, in this darkness, in this breath, in this exact moment. Rest in this now. Stay inside this quality. The breath moving through it. The body held by it. The awareness open within it. This is what the tradition was pointing toward when it preserved all of these teachings across centuries. Not a philosophical position to be understood intellectually, but a lived quality to be entered directly through the body, through the breath, through the simple willingness to be here. The state in which awareness is fully present and the body is fully released, in which the heart is open and the mind is not gripping its own contents, in which the night is not a problem to be solved, but the container in which this resting is occurring. You are inside that container now. The practice has brought you here. What is needed now is simply to remain in this body, in this breath, in this quality of resting awareness for as long as the night allows. The night does not ask anything of you. It does not require you to arrive at a conclusion. It does not need you to have understood. It simply continues, vast and unhurried, holding the day that has passed and the morning that has not yet arrived. This is what the night teaches. That there is a place where effort ends and presence begins. The trees outside are not trying to be still. The breath inside your chest is not trying to be slow. They are simply what they are, in this moment, without apology. You are allowed to be what you are too. Tired, perhaps. Unresolved. Uncertain about tomorrow. The night holds all of it. And in that holding, something softens. The softening does not require your effort. The holding itself is the softening. Something in you has always known how to rest. This is the only teaching the night offers. Stay here.